Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, and joining us in the studio now, Bills team reporter Maddy Glab, also co-host of Bills Tonight with this guy over here after every Bills game. We only got to watch about 30 seconds of the media viewing portion of practice, and we had to come in here and do a show that, we got to do this every day. So we saw Codrington had a helmet.
Yes.
But was he doing anything during the media viewing portion of practice?
Yes and no is the answer.
Okay.
When he started it out, had the helmet on, and I was waiting because they were in special teams period, and you see the returners take rep after rep after rep, interchanging with each other. And at times it looked like, okay, Brandon Codrington is about to take a rep, and then he would step back and let somebody else take a rep. I don't know if that was just feeling things out, just waiting for his turn. Eventually, I saw him take a couple of reps, catching punts, and then once the team moved into position group, individual drills, I should say, I did not see him a part of the mix anymore. And toward the end of the special teams portion, he did take his helmet off and walk to the sideline and looked like he was viewing the rest of that portion.
So he might even be a non-participant again. Hamstring injuries are tough. They usually take a week, so it wouldn't stun me if he can't get back in time for this week's game. And, they have other options. It's not like they don't have other options. So maybe just let him get healthy, because you got to be explosive on punt return, Steve. You know that.
Yeah,
And you can't do that with a bad hammy.
Obviously, it's not a torn hammy or something. It's a
strain
a
or a pull.
Grade, but here's the thing. You go from being almost healthy to hurt worse than you were the day it happened in 2 steps. So you got to be 100% healthy before you come back.
And the 2 punts that I saw, they weren't catches. He let them go out of the end zone. So I don't know what to make of that. We're going to get a injury update after practice. It's supposed to end here in about 10 minutes, so I would assume that's coming in the 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock window, and we'll see what his
he might
designation
be listed as
is.
a non-participant again, then. He didn't really do
much. They've got other options like Khalil Shakir. They've got KJ Hamler on the practice squad. Ty Johnson. I imagine, kickoff return is not an issue. They've got guys that can go back there and do that easily.
And then Jamarcus Ingram still not back yet?
I did not see him out at the viewing portion of practice. Yesterday, our head coach, Sean McDermott, said that Jamarcus Ingram was excused from Wednesday's practice due to personal reasons, family matter. I did not see him at practice today. I don't know if he's in the building. Not sure. We will see again on that injury designation if he's around.
Yeah, he's a Texas native, if I remember right. So maybe if he's got to travel all the way to Texas for a family matter, it might take a little bit for him to get back here and after it's resolved. So we'll just wait and bide our time on that one. Also, and Amari Cooper's back yesterday, and he's good to go, so that's a good thing for the offense. Some interesting interview comments yesterday. You got to explain this one to me, because we only got to play a portion of Josh Allen's comments with the media yesterday, where he was telling a dad joke. What the heck happened there?
Okay, so this stems from, I think, a couple weeks ago. This conversation started, and it was a question about Sean McDermott this season and how we've seen in different ways, whether it's in interviews and practices, during games, post-game interviews. McDermott seems like he's a little bit he's got some ease to him this year, I want to say. Looks like he's always having fun with his team, but you see it visibly in interviews now. It's not as serious. There's some joking with Coach McDermott this season. So some reporter must have been working on a story about what Coach McDermott is like this season, and Josh Allen gave an example of he's telling dad jokes in meetings. And so then a week later it was followed up with, what's your favorite dad joke that Sean McDermott has said this season? And the answer was, what did the older Buffalo say to the younger Buffalo, or whatever it was.
What did the older Buffalo
on his first day of school or something?
Yeah,
bye son. So yeah, that's where that, you never know. There's some great fun questions out there, and you're trying to connect the dots of where's this coming from.
So offshoot of that, somebody asked Josh last week what was Coach McDermott's dad joke of the day, and he said, he had him on a daily calendar, and we got
Yes.
to the end of the year, so he didn't have one.
Yes.
He didn't have one.
Yeah.
But, those tear-off calendars?
Yeah,
he
that's
had
great.
One.
Yeah.
He ran out of days. Somebody should have got him a new one for Christmas. What the heck? That's a perfect stocking stuffer for Coach. We had Jordan Phillips in here yesterday, and he was just talking.
Great interview with him.
Yeah,
I
he was
watched
great.
it. He was
Yeah.
awesome.
was
Yeah,
great.
and obviously happy to be back here for his third stint. But was there any talk going into this playoff game? Because there's a lot of guys on this roster that have obviously been to the playoffs, but there are some younger guys on the roster who haven't now. There's been this influx of youth with this draft class and some of the other pickups. Was there any talk about making sure they know what they're in for, with the veterans maybe helping them?
I think there's several veterans on this team this season who have been a part of so many different playoff runs and with different teams. We heard from Von Miller yesterday. This game on Sunday is going to be his 14th playoff game that he's been a part of. And those guys have wisdom to impart on some of the younger players. And you saw the group yesterday after yesterday's walkthrough practice, I should say, the rookies came together in a big circle, and it was kind of like, what's going on here? What's happening? And our player development guy, Mark Carrier, was meeting with the rookies just to make sure their mindset was in a good place before the playoffs begin on Sunday. And I thought that was something that was very cool to see, to have these guys come together and to talk about, we're going into a new part of the season that is uncharted territory for a big group of our players who have played meaningful snaps this season. Here's what to expect. Do you guys have any questions? And then you have a group of players who have played in several playoff games and are going to have those conversations with our new rookies on this roster. We heard from Rasul Douglas yesterday, and I thought what he had to say was pretty telling about the group as a whole this season. While Douglas is not a rookie, it is just his second year a part of the Buffalo Bills, not second full season because he came here in the middle of the season last year. But he talked about the vibe of the team right now, and it seems like they're really approaching this game with just a next game mentality. Yes, they understand it's the playoffs and it's win or go home, but in the same vein, it's we locked up the AFC East weeks ago. We were playing great, but we believe we haven't even peaked yet. Our offense has put up these 40-point games, but our defense hasn't played the best when our offense has played the best. It just seems like there's a casualness, not in a bad way right now, that's going around the entire team. And I don't know if you guys feel it, but I feel it too. There was this tenseness last year. We talked about it, Brownie. It was win every single game in the last 6 weeks of the season and win and in. And you talked about the mentality that goes along with that and just how much of a grind it is to have to do that for 6 weeks in a row, and you get through it and you can't even take a breath because the playoffs are here. This group has been breathing for the last 5 weeks.
And he can speak to that because he's had teams where they have been able to take that last week off, and you had other years where you had to work to get it.
It does make a difference, and I'll say this too. There does seem to be a different vibe in this building. This group seems a little more confident in what it can do than teams in the past. This iteration of the Bills in the past handful of years. This is a team that fully expected to be here, and if they didn't, they have for the last 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, they've been in it. The leaders on this team, like Josh, of course, even Rasul Douglas, Milano, Bernard, even though he's a younger player. These guys that have been around, Deion Dawkins, Spencer Brown, you got a lot of guys, A.J. Epinesa, they've been around for a minute. This is where they expect to be. And it's much different knowing you deserve it, earned it, and they're expected to be. You're one of the guys that belong here. You're one of the guys that makes this a big game. There's a much different mindset and vibe around this building and with the players than we've seen in the past handful of years.
But 89, Steve, you guys are 9-7 and
barely
scrape in.
Yes.
Jeez.
And then in 90, you're 13-3, and you got the top seed locked up. Like, there's a huge difference in where your brain is.
Yes, there is. And I'll say this though too. This team's five-time division champion. There is something about it. It becomes always about you. You know, okay, the Denver Broncos are coming in, that's fine, but we've got to get ourselves ready. It doesn't matter if it's the Broncos or the Ravens or the Chiefs or, St. Daisy's day school. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You're going to get ready. And
sorry, St.
And that's one of the things that carried that team I was on to so many big moments was once you've been like this team has won the division 5 straight years. There is a floor that they will not allow themselves to drop below, and that floor has risen gradually up. Now their floor is up here now from where it was in 2017, 2019. Their level of acceptability is clear up here now.
Which kind of goes to what Rasul said at the end of that comment, because he said, we're preparing for this week like it's any other week, but we also know if we're not careful, we're breaking it down for exit interviews on Monday saying 1, 2, 3 Cancun, not 1, 2, 3 divisional playoff.
Yeah. So they know that mindset has to be there. Yes, it's an understanding of it's just another game, but it's also with that an understanding of we could go home if we lose this one. I think that speaks to the maturity of the group, understanding both things can coexist with each other. I spoke to Osiris Torrance, one of our offensive linemen. We did a podcast interview with him, and that's going to be released later this afternoon. And I thought he had some telling comments just about entering the playoffs now, just for his second year in the NFL. He talked about the rookie season. I didn't really know what to expect. Like, I was just going into it as this is just another game, but within that, there's way more that goes into playoff preparation. The emotions are higher. It's more tense. And now I know, okay, this is what to expect. This is how I personally need to prepare for a playoff game. And not just Torrance, but you have other guys on the team who are second-year players who are starters on this roster who are feeling better about their second season in the NFL, their second postseason in the NFL. And he spoke about hitting that rookie wall last year and saying, while I tried to avoid it, I just couldn't, and it was hard, and I kind of took my foot off the gas a little bit, not on purpose, but, unknowingly. And this year I know what I need to do to make sure that I don't take a break. And for him, it's going back and watching tape of games where he thought he played really well.
Yeah, it is a real thing because everybody has, in every game you play in, you have a certain level of confidence, a certain level of anxiety, a certain level of expectation for what you should be able to do and what you might be able to do. And then you get into that rhythm of how you handle it, and you got to find a way to cope with your own emotions and preparation and confidence and angst and doubt. When you get into the playoffs, there's just an added element of responsibility that's on top of that. And you got to find a way to compartmentalize that and get around and play your best under the raised stakes of the game while trying to fit and elevate the guys around you to help them play their best as well. It's a dynamic that's unusual to sports.
Maddy, we got to let you jump because practice is ending and you got work to do. So thanks for stopping by and bringing us up to speed on what the players are talking about here in advance of this week's wild card game. We appreciate it.